Stand clear of the closing doors, please.
Welcome to Subway Sports Talk. My name is Peter Kennedy, and I'm your host. Thank you so much, as always, for tuning into SST on Apple Podcasts app, Spotify, and on YouTube. We're here to talk Week 7 picks because it's time for Week 7, and it's time for PBS to flip the damn switch and start combining some winning weeks. We've had winning weeks. We have. I've had one. Mark's had one. I think, Pat, have you had a winning week? Sorry, I didn't want to make you feel bad.
I sure hope so. I don't know, honestly. I think I've gone 2-3.
Myself.
I think I've gone 2-3, like 4 out of the 6 weeks.
Yeah, I think that's actually accurate. So I don't know if you have, but we've had winning weeks, but we have yet to combine multiple winning weeks, let alone 3 winning weeks out of all of us. So, what better time than the present, my friend? So PBS is here to talk Week 7 NFL picks. So Pat Boyle, what is up? How are you feeling going into these picks here?
Well, Pete, I was just telling you and Mark before we started here, a couple of weeks ago, you asked Mark and myself, did we ever make a pick that we don't feel great about? And in unison, we both said to you, no, we just don't make the pick. Well, I'm probably going to have 3 out of the 5 selections here, picks where I'm probably going to be holding my nose and just hoping for the best. They kind of stink, not in the sense that they're bad, but they're ones where I feel good about, of course. I wouldn't be making the picks if I didn't. But I feel like it's going to, like, the couple of the underdogs I'm taking, they're either going to win outright or they're going to get blown out. So we shall see. We shall see. But I'm ready to roll.
I very much understand that. And I'm glad that you are seeing what I was seeing in that regard, because I think it's almost a necessity or a rite of passage to take a pick that feels bad to take, because it's holding yourself accountable, for not just saying, oh, well, this team's better, they're going to win, right? Like, it holds yourself accountable for looking at it from a bigger perspective than just what you saw last week, who won more games in the past. It's a bigger thing, and I like to hear it. I'm happy to hear it. Mark Shenloogian, how are you feeling? Are you feeling enlightened like our friend Pat over here?
Pete, I feel good. Use the term enlightened. It's funny, as you can see right now, only half my room is lit up right now, and that's because I'm behind on my rent. Can't really afford to pay for anything with the way these picks have been going. Steady diet of peanuts, crackers, and like soup at this point. Honestly, I haven't seen a real meal in about a week and a half. So hopefully the light stays on for the rest of this podcast. I'm not even sure if I can charge my laptop at this point. It's been a very interesting week for me. So we're back.
Great. I thought you were going in a different direction there. I thought you were going to say the only part of you that's enlightened is you, because you're wearing a white sweatshirt right now, and the reflection off your laptop screen is making it a little bit bright in a good way. It looks good. And I thought you were saying that you're wearing all white today for purity, that you were stripping down all past sins of bad beats, and you're starting from a pure standpoint today, ready to roll into a new week and a new time, forgiven of all your bad beats.
No, trust me, Pete, there's no purity over here, and there's no purity in 9-21 either. So whichever way you want to spin this, there's no positivity. There's no purity. I'm lucky if I'm able to live in a 2x4 next week. So
there we go.
Let's see what happens this week at this point. The strategy is not going to change. I'll tell you that. It's not going to change. So
that's something I am happy to hear. Been saying it all along. Trust the process. That is your process. And until it gives you, 18 weeks of crap, you're going to trust it. And I like that about you. And I hope your picks are going to work well. So we got right now combined record 31-59. Feels absolutely horrible to say out loud, as it is horrible. I'm at 12-18. Pat's at 10-20. Mark's at 9-21. Last week, me and Pat were 2-3. Mark with the 0 for 5. But it's okay, because you're feeling good, and you got to pay for that rent, so you're going to make sure you do so. So, Shen, why don't you start us off with your first pick in Week 7?
Oh, all right, here we go. 2-team parlay. We're back at it. Jacksonville Jaguars against the New York Football Giants, leg 1. I will fade them until the end of time. And look, again, they're down 10 points with 10 minutes to go, and somehow they pull a win out in a game where they have no business winning. It's 3rd and 1. They're down 3 late, and the Ravens somehow get called for some illegal formation, and then the next play, Lamar has the ball, goes through his hands, and then he throws, like, I think it was his first pick of the year, if I heard correctly, or something crazy like that. But look, with everything that's happened, the 5-1 Giants are somehow 3-point dogs in this game, which doesn't seem right. So I'm kind of thinking that the luck has to run out, or Vegas knows something we don't. So give me Jacksonville at home for leg one, and then we're going to parlay that with the New England Patriots, who've looked downright unbeatable the past 2 weeks. Granted, the level of competition hasn't been fantastic, but hey, neither are the Chicago Bears, and that's who rolls into New England this week. Whether it's Zappy or whether it's Mac Jones, I don't really think it's going to matter. Ramondre Stevenson's going to run all over whoever they play. The Bears are just awful. And Bill Belichick went on a 7-minute soliloquy earlier this week about how good the Chicago Bears are and all the weapons they have. They'll probably score less than 7 points because of that. So give me the Patriots, give me the Jags, plus 110, pick 1, week 7.
There we go. Right back on the horse. And I have a wild card in there for number 5 right now. I have a few options checked off. We'll see which one I go with, but I'm considering that Giants Jaguars as a pick as well. And Cody O'Connor, if you just listen to our NBA preview, he was on that show. He is definitely listening to these picks somewhere, maybe during his prep period on Friday, and rolling his eyes that Giants fan Mark Shenloogian will not back the New York Giants. But you got to respect it. Real recognize real. And if you're real, Mark, you're realizing that the Giants perhaps are not real. So that's the question mark, and we'll see where it goes from there. So pick one for Mark. Thank you. Pat, pick number 1.
I think Mark's asking to get hurt again, because my first pick, I'm going to take the Giants plus 3. And I know we try to stay away from even spreads, but I mean, if I'm taking 3.5, it's like minus 125. That's too much juice, in my opinion. So take them plus 3. If they lose by a field goal, whatever, I push. I think the Giants are just continue to be undersold by Vegas. They continue to be undersold by the sports books. They continue to be undersold by Mark and his contingents and his constituents. And I think they continue to prove everybody wrong, because you can't put a true value on the halftime adjustments that the New York Giants are making every single Sunday with Wink Martindale leading the defense, Brian Daboll, the coach. I took the Giants last week. They not only covered, they won the game outright. I know a lot of people are saying that this is one of the fishiest lines because the Giants are 5-1, Jacksonville's 2-4, and the line has continued to move in Jacksonville's favor. Maybe that's because this is the Giants' first true road game of the season. They haven't played a true road game yet. The only time they've played outside of MetLife was in London when they beat Green Bay. Jacksonville, they've lost 3 in a row. Giants have won 3 in a row. The parity in the NFL says take the Jaguars. No, I don't think so. I think the Jaguars are a team that struggle. Trevor Lawrence is still very, very inconsistent, and against a disciplined defense that has been very, very good so far with Wink Martindale, no matter who's on the field. That goes to show you how important the coaching is on this team. Leonard Williams is back and healthy. We'll see if Azeez Ojulari plays on Sunday. It's trending, I would say, in the right direction. He was limited Wednesday. He was limited Thursday. So the fact that he's practicing, I think the Giants get their 2 stud pass rushers back. And then again, I just don't think they're going to let Trevor Lawrence beat them over the top. They're going to force Doug Peterson in this Jaguars offense to play a very disciplined, balanced offensive game. And I just don't think they're that good of an offense and to do that. I think the loss a couple of weeks ago against Houston, in which they were dominated and showed nothing offensively, said a lot about them. And I think they kind of, teams took them for granted the first couple of weeks, and they kind of, surprised a couple teams. The 24-0 shutout against the Colts, I mean, that's a team they've dominated. They destroyed the Chargers. But in the last couple of weeks, they haven't looked that good. They've kind of been back to looking like the Jacksonville of years past. So, again, people are selling short the Giants. I am going to once again fade the sports books. Give me Big Blue to establish the run, for Daniel Jones to take care of the football like he's been doing, and for the Giants to just find a way to get points on the board and get stops when they need it. Giants plus 3.
As a Giants fan, Pat, and this is not as a bettor, just as a Giants fan, I'm nervous that the other shoe's going to drop in the turnover department, or that the sack number is going to get bad. So the Jaguars do have a good pass rush, and Daniel Jones just kind of kept clean back there. That's the only thing as a fan that makes me nervous about this game, that the Jaguars defense with the talent they have. I'm not really worried about the Jaguars offense. I think this is probably a lower scoring game with these two offenses here. But I don't know. I'm just nervous that DJ is going to get rushed and going to get hit, and there's going to be a turnover because basically to this point, he's played a clean season. There hasn't been a ton of explosives out of Daniel Jones. In fact, I heard it on a podcast earlier. He's only completed one pass over 20 yards in the air this year. And that's insane. That's 6 weeks of football where he's only completed one pass in the air over 20 yards. That's nuts. So like when is that going to catch up to them starting slow and playing catch up without being able to pass the ball? Those are the things that make me nervous about that. So I don't know. That's just as a fan though. But from a number perspective, you're getting the field goal. Jaguars haven't been some world beater of team that's, putting people out. So I don't know. Mark, since we just talked about that, do you have any soliloquy to go back on here to Pat?
I will next week when they finally lose a game that they deserve to lose. This luck runs out this week.
I mean, you've been saying that every week, and everybody's been saying that every week, and yet they continue to defy expectations. They continue to defy the parity that you think they're going to succumb back to. I think they're extremely well coached. I think you can't put a cap on that. And Pete, you're worried, the other shoe is going to drop. This is the game where Daniel Jones does lose a fumble, does lose a strip sack, where you get a tip pass interception. Who's to say Trevor Lawrence doesn't go out and throw 3 picks again, like he is very, very capable of doing? I think Jacksonville hasn't really shown you anything to warrant betting them as a favorite here.
I'm not disagreeing with that. I think Pat's right in the fact that Lawrence can come out and make the same mistakes Jones is making. But my argument is more geared towards they've come back from 13 down against Tennessee, 10 down against last week against the Ravens, 14 down against the Packers, and they've barely scraped by Carolina and Chicago. So, no, the 5-1 record is about as fraudulent as a 5-1 team as you'll ever see. I said it, and I will continue to say it until they, play better in my eyes. I mean, yeah, they're coming back, but they're not winning like 5-1 teams do, blowing teams out, getting out to early leads. Like, you're down in these games for a reason.
They need to have a first half where they show up. Like, they need to have a first half where they put points on the board and are not trailing. It just hasn't happened. Just
one more point, Pete. To last week, the Ravens averaged 8.8 yards per carry and somehow still lost the game. Like, It's going to catch up with them at some point. Trust me. It's just a matter of when, not if.
All right. Well, that brings me to my first pick, and I'm going to go a different route here. I'm going to talk about the Seattle Seahawks at the Los Angeles Chargers, and we're going to take the Seattle Seahawks at +5 going to LA, which we all know is not really home field advantage, especially with all the Seattle folk who live in the Los Angeles area. It's not that far of a travel down there. I expect that to be a minimum 50-50, so it's no home field advantage to start with. Geno Smith has been playing very good football. We know this. Kenneth Walker looked really good for the Seattle Seahawks, but the thing that makes me most impressed with the Seahawks is that they have a purpose on offense now. With Russell Wilson, it was always a tug of war on, who is driving the offense. Is it all Russ and him cooking, breaking down the play and then making something happen outside of the pocket? Or is it the run game? Or is it Pete Carroll? Are they holding him back? Is he holding them back? It was always this whole debate. And as we've seen Richard Sherman just have so much fun every time, something goes wrong for Russell Wilson, we have actually seen the Seahawks play really solid, really consistent football. And Pete Carroll, what he doesn't get enough credit for is not making some of those big bonehead mistakes that so many coaches make across the board consistently in the NFL. One of the leaders in that department is the head coach of the Los Angeles Chargers, Brandon Staley, consistently being inconsistent with his aggression, not knowing when to go and when to stay. You think he's going to go all the time until he doesn't, in a time where people say, you should go here, right? So there seems to be no purpose with the Los Angeles Chargers. It's something that I said to Pat, I think it might have been after week 1 or week 2 on one of our recap podcasts, talking about what are they doing? What does Brandon Staley do to push them in the right direction consistently? He might be fantastic on the X and O front. He might be fantastic as somebody who thinks the game of football, but when it comes down to in-game decisions, he's consistently messing up. This team's consistently not being aggressive enough on offense and waiting for Justin Herbert to bail them out on 3rd and 4th down. When are they going to realize they need to push the ball on 1st and 2nd down and avoid 3rd down completely? You won't have all this stuff going on 4th if you avoided 3rd and 4th every once in a while, right? So watching them is insanely frustrating. They haven't been blowing anybody out. You combine that with a Seahawks team that's playing really consistent football. Geno Smith has the ability to put the ball in the air and come back if they happen to be down. I think this is going to be a very close game. You get the +5. That line dropped a lot too. It opened up at -7.5 in favor of the Chargers, dropped all the way down to -5, and you still have, at this point, at -5, only 50% of the tickets are on the Seahawks, but 80% of the money is on the Seahawks. That's telling you right now that sharp bettors still do not trust Brandon Staley and this Chargers offense to be aggressive, and they're trusting the Seahawks to keep this thing close. Seahawks +5 at Los Angeles Chargers. That's my first pick.
All right. Round 2. Green Bay Packers at Washington this week. You've lost to the Giants. You've lost to the Jets. Now you're playing the Commanders, and Carson Wentz isn't playing. It's going to be Taylor Heineke, I believe. If the alarm bells didn't go off after the loss to the Giants, they had to go off after the Jets, especially for Jair Alexander. I know, Pat, I think you pointed that out last week with some of your commentary about that. I can't see the Packers losing again. Washington's absolutely terrible. So look, I think the trend stops here. Brady lost to Trubisky/Pickett last week. What is Rodgers going to lose to Heineke now too, off a 2-game losing streak? Maybe, but I'm not betting on it. So give me Green Bay, leg 1. Leg 2, Cincinnati Bengals at home. Big win in the Dome last week down in New Orleans. Homecoming for Burrow and Chase gets them back to 3-3 on the year. They're taking on the Falcons at home. Cordell Patterson is still out. Look, the Falcons won last week, but I attribute that to a lot of them being the home team against the 49ers. You're now going out to Cincinnati, chance to get over 500 for the first time this year. Really outside of that week 1 stinker where Burrow threw 5 picks, the Bengals have been who we thought they were. Tight losses against the Cowboys and the Ravens, but wins over the Jets and the Dolphins. And the Saints. So give me the Bengals also to win this week at home. You put those two together, you're at +100. So that's my second pick.
All right, Mark. Well, as fate would have it, I'm going to be against you in the spread here again. Here, 1 o'clock on Fox. Falcons, Bengals. Give me Atlanta +6.5. The cover Kings. I'm going to keep backing them until they don't win me money. I backed them last week. They covered the spread. They destroyed the 49ers outright, and I've got them +6.5 here. I did take Atlanta, did I? Or did I not take them? I think I had the Falcons
last week.
One of my
You took them last week because I was on the Niners.
Yeah,
that was
you took them against the 49ers.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know why I was having dementia there for a second. Okay, so yeah, I'm taking the Atlanta Falcons once again. They are undefeated against the spread. I know Cincinnati is looking better and better here over the last 4 weeks. Double-digit win against the Jets, double-digit win against the Dolphins on that Thursday Night Football with Teddy Bridgewater. The short loss against the Baltimore Ravens, and then they had to come from behind. And I guess at the end of the day, it was impressive. But the defense, which you thought was starting to turn a corner, looked a little shaky against New Orleans. And this Atlanta Falcons offense continuing to hit its stride, even without Cordell Patterson, Tyler Algier, and Caleb Huntley are a nice 1-2 combo. Marcus Mariota he's taking care of the football, man. And this RPO offense that Arthur Smith has them running, literally and metaphorically, is working very, very nicely. He is making the right decisions, ran the ball 6 times for 50 yards and a touchdown, so you got to worry about his legs. And Mariota, the last 3 weeks, 139 yards in the air, 147 yards in the air, 129 yards in the air. You would think that they'd be getting blown out, but no. 13 of 14 passing for those 129 yards, 93% completion percentage against the big, bad 49ers defense. I know they were banged up. That was part of the reason for my pick. But the point is Marcus Mariota is playing very good football right now. They're getting Kyle Pitts involved in the offense. They have a very balanced offense. So when you're running the ball and you can throw it when you need to, I just think they're going to be able to move the ball consistently down the field against Cincinnati, who has been, like I said, struggled last week to stop New Orleans. DJ Reader is out. He's been out on IR, so they're going to have trouble stuffing the interior run. And, you know, when you look at what Atlanta has done defensively, they haven't been that great. You know, they gave up a ton of chunk yardage, but they've been pretty decent in the red zone. And for a lot of the reasons why I took them last week against San Francisco, the two big games they were getting blown out this year against Tampa Bay and against the Rams, not only did they come back and cover, they had a chance to win both of those games after being down 20-plus points. So it's a team that doesn't give up. They're another one that makes good halftime adjustments. I still think the Bengals are a little bit overrated. Still, the sports books are riding them off of that Super Bowl run last year. So I would love if this was 7.5, obviously, but 6.5 I think is too many points. Give me the Falcons plus 6.5.
Wow. I can't believe this is what's going on here. This is what's really about to happen, is that me and Mark are going to be on the same team again, going against Pat Boyle. Because my second pick is Bengals -6 versus the Atlanta Falcons. I can't even make it up.
You got him at a 6?
I'm looking on DraftKings. Oh, 6.5. It is 6.5. On pregame.com, it was 6, but I'll put it at 6.5. Bengals -6.5 at the Falcons. And I can't believe it. Once you said, Pat, that you were going against half that parlay from Mark, I was like, come on, he's really going to go Falcons here. We're going to go against each other again. We are. And here's the big statistic for you as to why I'm backing the Bengals here. The Atlanta Falcons defense, yes, it's been pretty good, bend but don't break this year. But their biggest weakness right now, and I'm talking pretty glaring weakness right now, is they do not get after the quarterback at all. Right now, they have a 1% hurry rate right now, lowest in the league, only 3 hurries and only 8 sacks on the year, which is just really, really bad when you're going up against Joe Burrow. If you're giving Joe Burrow time, that is not what you want to do. So I'm expecting a chance for the Bengals offense to have a little bit of an explosion type of day here. The Atlanta Falcons run defense is kind of average. The pass defense is kind of average. But if you give up all that time to Joe Burrow with those weapons, and T. Higgins is healthy now, second week off the concussion, the whole 9 here, I'm nervous that the Falcons aren't going to be able to hang here with the Bengals. And I'm just waiting for the other shoe to drop a little bit with the Falcons here too. Their offense has been solid. They've done a lot of really good things. But if we're being really honest about what happened last week, even though it was a commanding victory against the 49ers in the final score, it was really the turnover differential and the big time plays that changed the entire outcome of what happened there. The 49ers can beat absolutely anybody when they go up. But if they make a mistake early and give the other team the lead and have to throw the ball a lot, it's going to be a very different game script. That's why the Chiefs are only -2.5 against the 49ers this week, because people respect the Niners that much. So with that all being said, the Bengals are trickling in the right direction of getting their crap together offensively and defensively. It really hasn't been a big issue for them this year. And I think this is an opportunity for them with the Falcons pass rush that's not special at all to get comfortable and to do what they have to do. Joe Burrow gets into trouble when he tries to force into super tight windows, when he's under pressure, when he doesn't have that extra second to watch the field. Now he's going to have that extra second. He might have some more time to let his guys get open. I'm good with laying the 6.5, not the full touchdown, and going Bengals -6.5 versus the Falcons in Cincinnati. The Falcons can't cover forever. So that's my second pick.
All right. Going to go with one of the games you mentioned, Los Angeles Chargers against the Seattle Seahawks. I'm going with the Chargers in this one for one of this parlay. Pete, I've been saying it for 7 or 6 weeks now. I think Keenan Allen is finally going to come back this week. If he chooses not to, then it will definitely be after the bye, because, I mean, you got to see some of these tweets. So Brian Robinson can get shot, twice, but Keenan Allen's missing 7 games with a slightly pulled hammy. Look, even if he doesn't come back and play, I still cannot see the Chargers losing this game at home to Seattle. I feel like they're such a different team on the road. And the Chargers are actually winning some of these close games now, where in the past they would lose these games in heartbreaking fashion. The 2 losses on the season are to Kansas City on the road and the game where at home against Jacksonville, where Herbert didn't know if he was going to play the entire week with the fractured ribs. So give me the Chargers here. Give me Eckler to have another big game. And Keenan Allen, if he comes back, just it would be an added bonus to take out Seattle. leg 2, Baltimore Ravens off the somehow, whatever you want to describe it last week, that debacle at the Meadowlands where they blew that game against the Giants. You're home against the division rival Browns this week. You're off a loss, which is why I love them in this spot. Browns just got shredded on the ground last week by New England, and that was probably the least of their issues. They got blown out. Well, it led to them getting blown out. I don't see them winning this week. Brissett to take out Lamar on the road off a loss. Can't see it. Give me the Ravens. Give me the Chargers. -120, pick 3.
Oh, Mark, as fate would have it once again, I'm going to be going against you here on the spread and half of that. Give me the Seahawks +5. I am on the Pete Kennedy train with this one.
Let's go.
You got him +5 even, correct?
Correct.
Yeah, so, I mean, look, everything that Pete was saying, I don't want to, double up on, but I just think that this offense has been fantastic. The Chargers defense, even with all the additions they've made this year, they are still very beatable. I think we noticed that when Houston dropped 34 on them, and I feel like we kind of just chalked that up to, oh, well, Herbert was, it was Herbert with his ribs, right? But the defense still gave up 34 points to the Houston Texans. The Browns dropped 28 on them. They gave up 24 to the Houston Texans. The Browns dropped 28 on them. They got destroyed by Jacksonville. That was the game I was talking about, 38-10, where everybody chalked it up to, oh, Herbert was coming off that rib injury. So I still think everything you said about Brandon Staley being inconsistent as a coach, being inconsistent as a game planner. They play on Monday night. Not total short rest here. It's not like going Sunday to Thursday, but it is going Monday to Sunday. And Seattle, look, I mean, this defense, Jekyll and Hyde. Could the Chargers put up 40 points in this one? Yes, easily, right? I mean, Detroit put up 45 on them. New Orleans put up 39 on them. But then they have the games like they did last week where they totally shut down Kyler Murray and the Arizona Cardinals. Not that that is a gigantic feat, but held them to 9 points. I just really like what Seattle has done so far this year. Even with Rashad Penny going down, Kenneth Walker slid in very nicely last week. Metcalf and Lockett, they have been the number 1-2 punch. I was very down on Seattle this year, Pete. I think we both were, right? I was like, I'd be surprised they get the 3 wins. Well, here we are going into week 7, and Seattle's going for win number 4. Pete Carroll has shown that, yeah, he still deserves to be in this league. Geno deserves to be in this league. 8-2 against the spread as a dog in his last 10 games when he is an underdog as the quarterback. And the Seattle defense, for the most part, they've been bend, not break in a lot of situations. In that game last week against Arizona. So, look, I'm not asking Seattle's defense to necessarily cover this spread, but I'm asking the Seattle offense, which is putting up 375 yards a game, which is scoring 24 points a game, to keep this close with the Chargers, who, just like I said about the Cincinnati Bengals, really not deserving to be 6.5-point favorites. Just like the Jacksonville Jaguars, I don't think deserve to be 3-point favorites. I don't think the LA Chargers deserve to be 5-point favorites, which at one point, Pete, like you said, was 7.5. And even if Keenan Allen does play, I think they're going to be very cautious with him, knowing they've got the bye week next week. And of course, Rashawn Slater, left tackle, out. He's done. Could they be getting Corey Linsley, the center back? Perhaps. But Herbert was under a ton of pressure. And everything you said, Pete, about how this offense just kind of is, lackadaisical on first and second down, expecting Herbert to bail him out on 3rd and 8, 3rd and 9. That's only that can't last forever. Look, I like Seattle in this one. I think they can go out and win this game outright. Give me the Seahawks +5.
I'm actually really happy that you went here, because I actually had a few stats in this game that I didn't even get to. I got so worked up about Staley and Carroll and et cetera. So here's a couple stats for you to add to your case and my case, since we're both on Seahawks +5 here. Right now, the Chargers have 4 wins, right? They have 4 wins. Their last 4 wins, which is all the wins this year, a 3-point win against the Broncos on Monday night, where the offense did not look very inspired. A 2-point win against the Browns 2 weeks ago. Then they won by 10 against the Texans October 2nd. Whatever. It's the Texans, not very good. Still impressive. They won by 10 against somebody. Got smoked out by the Jaguars. We know that. They lost to the Chiefs in a close one. We know that. Then they beat the Raiders by 5. So of their 4 wins, 3 of them are by 5 or less, right? This team's not really built, not based off how they're built, based off how they attack defenses and how they actually play. They're not built to win big. They don't do it. They don't give themselves the chance. Right? They shoot themselves in their foot by being soft on 1st and 2nd down. And now on the flip side of that, the defense for the Los Angeles Chargers, their weakness is the run game. They're giving up, tied for the most with the New York Giants, 5.6 yards per carry from a defensive standpoint. Guess who's the number 3 rushing offense in the NFL right now? The Seattle Seahawks, averaging 5.3 yards per carry, number 3 in the entire league. So those 3 things combined there makes me feel really good about the Seahawks possibly keeping this within 5 if they don't win it outright. I'm probably not, I might sprinkle it, right? If I'm putting 1 unit on the Seahawks +5, maybe I put, a quarter unit on the money line or a half a unit on the money line. I don't know, maybe just for funsies, but I like the +5 because I think they'll keep it close. And this could easily be a field goal game in my estimation. So on to my third pick here, though. I'm going my first teaser of the week, and I'm now going to join forces with Shen a little bit again on one leg here. I'm going to go Patriots -2 and Raiders -1 in your standard, 2-team 6-point teaser here. Monday night, right now, the Patriots -8 at home against the Chicago Bears. Their offense is looking better and better. Ramondre Stevenson just establishing himself as one of the best runners in the game. Not maybe top 5, but top 7, top 8 runner in the game right now. He's looking really, really good, especially behind that scheme. Whether it's Zappy or Mac Jones, I don't think this number moves, and I don't feel more or less confident with either of them. I think they're both very solid. And Mac Jones kind of sitting out with the injury for a few weeks can kind of look at this and say, all right, Bailey Zappe just reminded me how I had success last year. I was a little bit out of my shoes in the first couple weeks, and then I got hurt. Now I watched him have success, keeping it simple. I am now going to get back to keeping it simple because let's be honest, Bill Belichick don't care where he drafted me. He don't care who I am. If Zappe's going to give him a better chance to win, he's going with it. So I expect Mac to play a very clean game, and you don't have to worry about the spread of -8 for the Patriots. You just get them down to -2. On the Raiders front, you have the Raiders at home against the Texans. The spread is 7. That's why I get them down to -1. With the teaser here, I don't expect the Raiders to beat anybody by double digits or a touchdown even for that matter. So I don't feel super, super awesome about the -7, but I feel really good about the Raiders winning this game. We know where they are in their season right now. They're in backs against the wall mode. If they lose more games, their season is over if it's not over already. They're 1-4. They had their bye already. They're off the bye and they're ready to roll. This offense has to come out strong. The Texans, Davis Mills does an okay job here and there. They're 1-3-1. They have not scored many points this year. They've scored 86 points to this point of the season. Not very good, right? So I think the Raiders can win this game with offense alone, but then they can get some pass rush from Max Crosby, make Davis Mills be a little bit uncomfortable there. So Patriots -2 and Raiders -1. I feel really good about it. 2 favorites who I would definitely lean towards taking the straight spread, but I feel really good on the teaser front. So that's my third pick.
All right, pick 4. 3-leg parlay here. I lied. I got a 3-legger in this week. Las Vegas Raiders, leg 1 for Pete for all the reasons you mentioned, and I'll just throw this in. The Houston Texans are garbage. So all the reasons you mentioned plus that one is why the Raiders are going to win this week. 1-4 is not going to become 1-5 off the bye. Leg 2 over to Dallas. Dak Prescott back this week against the Detroit Lions. Look, more so just with the way the Dallas defense has been playing all season. I can't see Detroit going in there, especially on the road, beating Dallas in there with Dak's return. It's just not happening, especially with Dallas being off the loss. Love them in this spot. Don't expect a flat performance there. And then pick 3, another team, awful loss last week, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Tom Brady going to take it one step further and lose to P.J. Walker now too. Julio Jones is expected to be back in this game. He's been practicing all week, but I don't know. I see these guys practice and then they just sit out 3 more weeks. Should it matter? No, they should still be able to get it done without him. They tend to dominate Carolina. So yeah, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, we're just going to keep it simple here. Bucks win, Cowboys win, Raiders win, +110, pick 4.
The Bucks are – go ahead. Sorry.
No, go ahead, Pete.
I was just going to say the Bucks – I don't know if you mentioned it. You might have. I was trying to type. The Bucks are -11, right? Did you mention that? So 11 down to money line with the combos that you put together. I mean, if you think about it like this, you're basically just buying, a few extra points here on the Raiders and Cowboys to get them on a money line. Like if you did a Cowboys and Raiders teaser straight up, you would get it -120 at -1 each, right? So you're dropping 1 more point on each of those to get the money line, and you're just adding the Bucks against the freaking Panthers, who are abysmal right now, and you get +110. That's your third plus. Well, you have 1 at even at +100. You got 2 now picks at +110. So hey, if we're counting real money here and you win those 2, you're trickling even back up closer to even. I like it. I like it a lot. Go ahead, Pat.
Well, I know this pick is going to lose because you, me, and Mark are all on the same side in some degree. I've got a parlay here. Cowboys money line, Raiders -2.5, -118 odds. And now that I think all three of us are on the Raiders and two of us are on the Cowboys, you know it's going to lose, right? I mean, we're all expecting. I think we also think Houston is so bad because they didn't even play last week. I think they lost to the bye. Pete, go ahead.
That's funny. No, I'm laughing at the bye joke, but no, I was going to say, just wait for my next pick.
Yeah, I have a feeling all three of us are on both the Cowboys and the Raiders. Houston coming off of the bye, but the week before that, the surprise win at Jacksonville. The defense played so great. Vegas, I mean, look, not only for my faith backing them to win the AFC West, if that has any chance of remotely hitting and have any chance of them to make the playoffs, this is their season right here on the line Sunday at 4 o'clock. 4 o'clock Eastern, they've got to win this game, right? They just got to go out and prove that they're the better team. But I can already see this is going to come down to the final 5 minutes because it's not trending in the right direction for both Hunter Renfrow and Darren Waller. Both did not practice on Thursday. Waller barely even played in that game last week against the Chiefs, basically went out on the first series. So I'm not optimistic that either of them play. You're going to have a huge game from Devontae Adams. Josh Jacobs is going to have to continue to run the ball well. And can Vegas' secondary, can they get a couple of turnovers against Davis Mills, please? Because we know that Houston's defense, for the most part, they have talent, they have potential. Derek Stingley's been very good at times this year. The pass rush, inconsistent. Can you just show up and beat the team that you're much better than? Can they win this game by a field goal? So Raiders -2.5, and then the Cowboys, Detroit also coming off of the bye, but I think that's neutralized. The Cowboys get Dak Prescott back. I think you get a spark into this offense. Cooper Rush was great for them, right? I mean, he managed as well as he could. But now you get Dak back. And I don't think any arguments that anybody had about, quarterback controversy, should Cooper Rush be the quarterback? Those were put to bed last Sunday night in Philadelphia. So, I mean, look, do I really need to explain more about how the Cowboys should win this game? Detroit, they've been plucky so far. The offense has been fantastic. A lot of that seems to have been wiped away with what New England did. And, you get Jared Goff against Dan Quinn. Dan Quinn's defense has been playing out of their skulls this year, getting after the quarterback. I think they're going to make life just as equally uncomfortable for Jared Goff as the Patriots did. So Cowboys just to win, Raiders -2.5.
And just to reiterate on your Raiders side, before I go to my next pick here, another favorable run matchup here as the Raiders are number 5 in the NFL at yards per carry, actually tied for third with the Seahawks at 5.3. Josh Jacobs has been an absolute beast. If you like this game, you should also look at some of Josh Jacobs' props here on the rushing front because he's looked really good, probably as good as he's looked in his entire career, running with a whole lot of force. And not only have the Raiders been good running the ball, guess who's 5th worst in the NFL at protecting the run? The Houston Texans, 5.1 yards per carry. That is a recipe for success for the Raiders. Take the ball out of Derek Carr's hand a little bit to let Josh Jacobs really do his job. And then Devontae Adams in the red zone, scoring touchdowns, doing what they do best with that connection. So I love that. All right. My 4th pick, one more teaser for me for the week. I'm going Cowboys -1, as you said. So we're all on the Cowboys. We're all on the Raiders. What could possibly go wrong? Cowboys -1, and I'm going Colts +8.5 here in the divisional matchup between them and the Titans. The game is in Tennessee. Spread is 2.5 in favor of the Titans, and you get the Colts up to 8.5. I think Matt Ryan has taken really, really nice strides the last few weeks now. A few of those games, he was kind of asked based off game script to throw the ball a little bit more, but he's been throwing the ball with some more success as well. The combo of Michael Pittman and Alec Pierce is becoming a serious opportunity for them to do something there. And that comeback win against Jacksonville last week, I don't think that was fluky. I don't think that was BS. I think that was the Colts finally putting their feet in the ground and saying, we are good. We are not a bad team here. We need to show up and do something about it. So it's not a perfect matchup for the Colts. I don't love them at +2.5. I think, I would consider taking them 2.5. I'd probably just stay away from it. But at 8.5, I feel really good about it. Even in when they played just a few weeks ago, it was 24-17. That's a 7-point loss in favor of the Titans. I think the Colts are a better team 3 weeks later at the end of October here. and the Titans are probably close to the same. So I'm not worried that it's in Tennessee. I'm not worried that Tennessee's going to run away with this. I think you get the 8.5 and Matt Ryan looking better, and you're going to be able to do something here with Alec Pierce and Michael Pittman, finally coming alive for this passing game. So Cowboys -1. You guys just touched on all the points there. Just to reiterate one last time, perfect timing for the Cooper Rush experiment to end. The book started to come out here, and basically they ran out of time. With backup quarterbacks, what happens so frequently is that the offense gets really simplified, right? So when Cooper Rush comes in, Kellen Moore chops off, 30% of the playbook and says, Cooper Rush, you're going to run our simple stuff. You're going to be straightforward. We're going to lean on Pollard and lean on Ezekiel Elliott and lean on this defense. And that's exactly what they did. Cooper Rush, for all the love that he got over the past couple of weeks, he never looked good. He just looked okay. He just looked competent. And then slowly but surely looked a little bit worse and a little bit worse. Couldn't be better timing for Dak Prescott to come back. And like you said, the defense, Micah Parsons, going to give Jared Goff fucking nightmares after this week. So pro Cowboys -1, Colts +8.5. That is my fourth pick.
All right. Last pick for me. Kansas City Chiefs, awful loss. Going to San Francisco, also awful loss. But look, the Chiefs, I'm going to boost them up to +3.5 in this game. Do I think they win? Yes. Do I feel even better about them getting the field goal and the hook? Absolutely. Rematch of the Super Bowl from a couple of years ago. I don't really think that has any bearing on this game. Garoppolo's too inconsistent for me with the way he plays football overall for me to believe that they're going to beat the Chiefs by anything more than a field goal in this game. So give me Kansas City +3.5 on the road. And then give me the Miami Dolphins, Sunday Night Football with the spotlight on them nationally. Tua will come back in this game after the horrific injury. I just think the narrative is there for the Dolphins to have a gigantic game here in front of the entire country. Tua was playing his best ball before he got hurt. I don't see how the Steelers are going to cover Waddle, Hill, and even Mike Gesicki make it into the act again this weekend, just like last week with the 2 touchdowns that he scored. And let's remember, Pittsburgh Steelers are really not the Pittsburgh Steelers of the past. I don't know how they won last week with Pickett and Trubisky playing quarterback. They looked horrible the entire game. One of their touchdowns was pretty much set up by a 90-yard kick return. And then with how anemic the Bucs were offensively. The Dolphins haven't had that issue all year. So give me the Dolphins to get back in the win column as well with the return of their QB. So we're going to go Dolphins, money line, Kansas City Chiefs +3.5 at, I believe, what was this one at? -120. Heaviest juice of the week for me for pick 5.
All right, last pick. This is the ultimate hold your nose here. Here comes the cold water. Give me the Bears +8. Justin Fields, everything tells you to bet the Patriots here. Belichick has owned these spots and being big favorites. He has covered a bunch of them. Justin Fields is winless 0-5 in primetime games. The Bears have looked about as dog shit as you could possibly imagine on offense here. The one good thing that I will point out, they do have the 10 days here, how much that gives Matt Eberflus and this offense a chance to get anything going. That'll be left to be seen. I just think it's too many points. The Patriots are coming off back-to-back blowout wins, and now it kind of feels like everybody's just expecting them to blow Chicago out of the water again. How rare is it to see 3 blowout wins in a row from a team that isn't that good? And I don't care if Bailey Zappi or Mac Jones is playing quarterback. Again, I think at this point, it doesn't really matter. I still think that Chicago can have a lot of success running the ball against a Patriots defense that has given up $120 per game on the ground. And it's a defense right now that, has some questionables both in the secondary, in the linebacking core, and on the front 3. Lawrence Guy, again, could all 3 guys, Lawrence Guy, Josh Uche, the outside linebacker, and Jonathan Jones, the cornerback, could they all play? Absolutely, they could. But still, I think it's recency bias is the reason this spread is at 8. The fact that they blew out Cleveland and Detroit. I mean, you go back a couple of weeks, and New England sure as hell didn't look good in the first game of the season against Miami. They sure as hell didn't look good against Pittsburgh. They got beat pretty handily by Baltimore. I think Chicago's just due here for a game where they give you an all-out battle for 60 minutes. They keep this game within a touchdown for the entirety of it. And again, maybe I'm just chalking this up to just 8 points and, hold your breath. Like I said, hold my nose, perhaps. But I still think this is just a lot. 8 points is way too many to just assume that Bailey Zappi or Mac Jones can go out and once again get consistent drives going. I know Damian Harris is probably coming back, so I think it's going to be a ton of handoffs. I think they're going to try to push the ball down Chicago's throat, keep the ball out of Justin Fields' hands, although maybe you want to get it in his hands and try to force turnovers. But either way, I think this is a grimy, physical, mucky game Sunday night, and it's one that doesn't end up with the Patriots winning this game by more than a touchdown. So give me the Bears +8, and here you go. Hold your nose.
Hold it. Sound like Squidward. Squidward would pick that pick as well, I think. So that feels about right. Yeah, that's a good point by you, Pat. And to give you one more note on that game, this is one of those situations where there's no big like cash swing as to where the money lies on the sharp money because it's so even right now. But 91% of tickets and 93% of cash, that's like basically no difference, right? 90+% of the money and the tickets are on the Patriots. I feel like Chris Berman, when he used to host on the football show, so you're all on the Patriots, right? Like, it's just such a classic case of everyone feels so good about the Patriots right now. The Bears stink. They can't do anything. Bill Belichick, yada, yada. And then all of a sudden, it's freaking a 3-point game late in the game, and the Patriots have to score a touchdown to win, right? Like that is a very, very likely outcome. And whenever you see 90% of the tickets and the cash on one side of the coin here, you know what side Vegas is rooting for. That's the Chicago Bears because they want to freaking cash in that category there. So Monday night, Pat, I like the mindset. Hold your nose and let it fly.
Contrarian. Gotta go contrarian when you can.
And so with that being said, I'm going to go kind of contrarian. I'm doing some reverse psychology here because this is a non-contrarian pick, but it's such an obvious non-contrarian pick that it feels obvious. I mean, that it feels right, if that makes any sense at all. So I'm going with the Green Bay Packers -4.5 at the Washington Commanders. Listen, the Packers have been a disaster for 2 weeks in a row now. I mean, you can argue about the Giants game, what coulda, shoulda, woulda happened. You can't really argue about the Jets game because the Packers just got beat, and that defensive line for the Jets was all over Rodgers. The Washington strength is in their defensive line. They have a hurry rate that's better than most in the league. They've had 19 sacks as a defense so far this year. So that's what makes me nervous, right? But when you think about this game here, it's almost too obvious. It's like one of the sharp bets that the public think they're figuring out, right? Like everyone's thinking, oh, you can't bet the Packers again because they just lost twice to these bad teams. You got to go with the Commanders. I'm just going the opposite way again, and I'm just going to bet on Aaron Rodgers to figure it the heck out at one of these points. And where he has his benefit is that the Commanders' pass defense isn't very good. Even though they do get after the quarterback a little bit, they're giving it up. Bottom 5 in the league from a passing perspective on yards per play defensively, and their run defense is in the lower half. I think it's ranked, it's the 12th worst in the league, right? So their defense isn't anything to write home about. It is just a defense that can kind of get after the quarterback. But if you don't think that Matt LaFleur and Aaron Rodgers are absolutely embarrassed with how they played the last 2 weeks, then I don't think you quite understand Aaron Rodgers. For as weird as he can be, for as aloof as he can seem, this guy is clearly an ultimate competitor, and he will not allow his team to get embarrassed 3 weeks in a row. And also, you got to call out this Green Bay defense. They've been, touted before the season started as a really talented group that can do a lot of things with some talent in the DBs and on the defensive line. Hasn't quite come to fruition with how they've performed, and it has to show up. It has to be different here at some point. And yeah, they're kind of fine right now. They're sitting at 3-3 with a negative point differential, lost 2 in a row to the New York teams. They're not losing 3 in a row, and they're going to put down the Washington Commanders. I know you can argue about Carson Wentz versus Heineke. There's a very good reason why Taylor Heineke is not the quarterback of the Washington Commanders, because he had an entire year last year to figure it out and prove that he can be the quarterback of a franchise. And he didn't do it. They were so happy to bring in Carson Wentz, who's been a disaster in his own right? As soon as Carson Wentz is healthy, he'll be back out there. So I'm not expecting Heineke to put on one of these crazy performances. There's plenty of tape out there on Heineke to watch. The Packers -4.5. I'm holding my nose a little bit too here, Pat, because it feels so obvious to take the Packers that everyone probably wants to take the Commanders. And then I'm doubling down another time and just going right back to the Packers -4.5. That is my last pick. So there we have it. There we have it, folks. How are we feeling, Pat, Mark? How are we feeling today with these picks out here now, ready to roll? Week 7. Are we having some winners here? What are we doing?
I mean, I feel like I could either go 5-0 or 0-5 this week. I feel like there's not going to be any in between. I'm either due for finally a huge week or just unmitigated disaster.
Look,
Mark?
I mean,
Inspired.
I don't make picks thinking they're going to lose.
True.
Are they going to lose? We'll see Sunday. Let me tell you, I'm really getting sick of seeing 0-5, 1-4, 2-3, and 9-21. But I'm only 3 games off the lead.
That is correct.
So I'm playing in one of the worst picking divisions in all of the United States, apparently.
You're in the AFC South.
I mean, at some point, I just continue to look at it, continue to be dumbfounded how these picks lose, and we're only 6 weeks in. I got 12 left or something like that. I stand by it, and I will turn it around. Where you could just call my picks the Titanic at the end of the year. I don't know what to tell you.
So, Mark, has this been your strategy for a couple of years, right? Like you've been using this strategy of the money line parlays and the teasers for some time, right?
Multiple years, Pete. Multiple years.
And Pat, can you attest to when you guys did your picks on the Boyle and Shen show for a few years in the past? Mark fared decent with this strategy here.
I think all of us were pretty, we were above 500 both years we did it.
Something's got to change. I think it's the week. I think week 7. It's the week where we finally figure something out. I'm feeling pretty good about it as well. I got a little mixture there. I got my underdog in the Seahawks. I got some nice little plucky favorites that I like in the Bengals and Packers, and I'm feeling good about the teasers. I've actually been decent on teasers the past couple of weeks, so I'm hoping to get those right. What can go wrong? What can go wrong? So if you're watching on YouTube, you can see the recap here. And if you're listening on the podcast, thank you for listening. You can check out our Instagram at social media. Yeah, follow us at social media. Follow us at Subway Sports Talk on Twitter, on Instagram, on TikTok to see some of these picks, to follow along. Let us know what your picks are. This is the week where we all turn it around. So thank you guys, as always. Pat, Shen, another week in the books. Week 7 already. Can you believe it? We're here. All right. Subway Sports Talk, thanks for listening. Thanks to you guys for always coming here and making the picks. We got many more weeks to go, and we're going to try to figure it out. We're going to keep chipping away at our records, chipping away at this total of 31-59. And if you want to fade us, just beware that other shoe might just drop, and it might just be in week 7. But thanks for listening. Subway Sports Talk all. Cheers.